Alright guys, today we got Boom. Introduce yourself, bro.
What up? It's Boom, Young Boomington, aka Manji Mixtapes, and I'm chilling.
Welcome aboard, man. First of all, I usually like to ask everybody, where did you get your name from, man? What's the lore behind your name?
Lore behind my name. Oh, so my name used to be Boom Soldier, cause I used to play Halo 3 really competitively, and my favorite weapon was the rockets. So I used to love the rockets. So I was like, I'm gonna make myself Boom. And then I'm actually I was a low key a big Soldier Boy fan when I was younger, so I just put Boom and Soldier together, and then was like, I'm just going to be Boom Soldier. And then I grew older and was like, Soldier Boy sucks, so I took Soldier out of my name and just became Boom.
Hey man, I'm still waiting for that Soldier Boy when you win the tournament, bro. I'm just saying, dude.
Look, I'm waiting too. We're both waiting.
Alright, man. I know you. I know you're like really good at. Obviously, you're super good at this game, right? You're in AXL and all this stuff. But like, did you start off? Is this like your first fighting game ever?
No,
Or
no, no, no. I've been playing fighting games since '09. My first fighting game that I played competitively was Street Fighter 4.
hmm.
And I remember I was actually playing SoulCalibur 4 for. Do you remember game battles at all? Are you familiar with game battles?
Nah, I never heard of that term or name.
So Game Battles is a site where you used to like do like pseudo MLG stuff, and they had a Soul Calibur ladder there, and I was playing Soul Calibur 4 because Soul Calibur 4 is my favorite, well, one of my favorite games of all time, and the Street Fighter 4 was coming out. My friend, who was a Taki man at the time, was like, "Yo, like, you play Street Fighter?" I was like, "No, that game sucks." And then I was like, "Game's garbage," and he's like, "Yo, you should play it." And I was like, "If you get it, I'll get it, whatever." Started playing that, and he's like, "Yo, you have like a fighting game scene, like in Maryland?" And I was like, "What? What are you talking about?" And ever since then, I started playing fighting games kind of competitively. So I have a little bit of experience. I'm not old, but in FGC terms, I'm old.
Why'd you stick around? Like, Why'd you even stick around? Like Soul Calibur was just like the other games didn't like resonate with you or what?
Well, Soul Calibur was always my favorite series. And I always like played Soul Calibur super heavy. And Soul Calibur 4 died when I got into the scene, so I never really got a chance to play it. Soul Calibur 5 came out, and I was like, "Yeah, this is cool." I won my first local tournament, and I was like, "Well, I guess I'm playing this game for serious." Um, and then I just loved the series. It's kind of why I stuck around. I've been playing other games. Like when Soul Calibur 6 was announced, I was like, I'm dropping every game and just waiting for Soul Calibur 6. It was actually crazy.
And when you won that first local for the first time, where were you at the point where you're like, maybe I'm actually pretty good at this game? You know what I'm saying?
Well, I never thought I was good. um, I was just like this online warrior. Like I legit was doing like online warrior stuff. Doing like Yoshimitsu, Dragonfly mix-ups for no reason. But somehow I won, and I was like, "Yeah, this is so cool!" I won money. My parents were like, "Wow, you can win money." I was like, "Yeah." And then my friend was like, "Yo, there's a major like 2 weeks away, right?" And I was like, "What's a major?" He's like, Don't worry about it. You're coming." And I was like, oh, okay, sure." And I ended up getting 13th out of like 112 people for my first major, so it wasn't
Oh
like,
wow, that's pretty nuts, man. Nice.
yeah.
And you say you're like an online warrior and stuff. Were you? I know we talked about this on stream, but you said you didn't know frame data at all, or like did you know a little bit during that time?
I didn't know anything, any frame data. I was taught by so I taught was taught proper Soul Calibur by Amethyst Lady and Prometheus, and they would be like, "Yo, like, do you know this is minus 22?" And I'm like, "What the heck is that?" I don't understand what that means. And so in tournament, right, I'd be like, I would lose something. They'd be like, "Yo, that thing he's doing, that's minus 20," and I'm like, "So what can I do?" They're like, "You can 6K it." And I'm like, "All right, cool, thank you so much." Like that kind of stuff I understood, but like when it came to frame data, like I legit didn't know anything about it. I always play by feel, and to this day, I play by feel, even though I still know frame data. Or I know a little bit more. So,
Is it just more like a visual cue for you when you were like learning the game and stuff like that, or are you just like it was just experience the whole time because you played it so much?
I'm a person. I like to experience things in life. I don't really like to like, like if someone tells me something's dangerous, I want to know why it's dangerous. Like, don't tell me it's dangerous. And so, like, I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna go out and like play it. I played it so much that I was able to feel out like what situations were plus, what situations were minus because I played online so much. I had so much experience. So like to short answer to your question, yes. But I it was I don't recommend learning that way anymore.
But that's the thing for me too, because like I've been suggested by Ben to go back online ranked because like I need to get the more matchup experience, right? But
hmm
I feel like if I were to go back to rank, I would just build up the bad habits all over again. How do you like avoid that type of stuff and switch back into like tournament mode?
Well, I think for me, uh, I treat everybody the same, right? Until I understand how they play, then I kind of either loosen up or tighten up, right? So my goal whenever I play ranked is to see if things work, right? My ultimate goal coming out of ranked is to one, well, to see if things work and to also like figure out how to read a person, right? So for me, there's a point um, where I know so much about the game that learning new things about the game is a little bit more difficult because I know so much. But learning how to read people is something that can always be improved on, right? And so I use ranked experience to kind of be like, oh, this person does this. I can assume that if this person does like a 2A when I run up and block, I can assume he's a very scared kind of individual or very defensive, and I can like change my game plan to do that. Or I'd be like, oh, this guy's just putting his mouth in the water fountain. How do I deal with that? I would just like stop and not do anything. You know what I mean? Like I
Hmm.
use ranks to help my decision making process when I'm in tournament. Because before the Infinite Rematch changed, ranked is the same format as tournament and pools, right? It's 2 out of 3,
Hmm.
you know. And so more so for me is to practice the mindset rather than the actual like game mechanics, if that makes sense.
Hmm. That's actually really interesting. I never even thought of it like that when I was playing ranked.
Yeah, I mean, like you can learn that like if you get bodied by something in ranked, then like you lab it. But same thing happens in tournament. You get bodied by something in tournament, you just lab it. You know,
Hmm.
it's obviously there's more stress on one than the other, but the concept and the goals can be the same if that makes sense, or the
Yeah, no.
structure is the same.
Mhm. And are you currently playing or labbing any other fighting games right now? Besides, like, I mean, not in a competitive sense, but like, are you just like playing any other games at this moment?
Fighting games or just games in
Fighting,
general?
fighting games, fighting games.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Uniest, Under Night and Birth. Huge fan.
Mm.
Uh, Trying to understand DOA. I don't really understand that game, but trying to understand. And I guess you can count Smash Ultimate as a fighting game.
Hey, we're gonna
I'm not gonna.
we're not gonna have that discussion right now. All right, we're not gonna have that
Okay,
discussion.
okay, cool.
We're gonna leave
But
that a
those are
little bit to the side right there.
fair. But those are the games that I've been playing. Fighting games I've been trying to play and figure out. So
Mm. Are you? Do you actually like think that you take into account like any aspects of that game and bring it over to SoulCalibur?
yes, 100%.
Mm.
I think a lot of what I take from because they all focus on different things, right? Different aspects and different strong suits, right? So like DOA is a very rock paper scissors heavy game. You know, whenever I play DOA, I got to focus on like what is my opponent doing, like, and then I have to counteract what he's counteracting. And it's rock paper. It's like Oki, like that helps me with my Oki, right? Under Night helps me with my defense because the game is like very defensive. It can be very defensive, and you're rewarded for blocking, right? So it's like I got to be patient in that game. I got to like be super defensive, etc., etc. And Smash is a game where it's really hard to be reactive. And so
Mm.
me being a reactive player, I struggle with Smash because I'm not. I just have to react to things. But what Smash does help me do is learn how to assume and learn how to recognize pattern, right? And
Hmm.
so whenever I play Smash, just I have to focus on like, okay, he's on the ledge. When he gets up for the, how does he get up from the ledge? How does he do this? When I do this move on a shield, how does he respond to this? I have to memorize that kind of thing. And all those things I can take and apply to back to SoulCalibur 6.
Mm. When you're in a tournament match, right? You're saying you're like, in considering like the Smash terms that you just said, when you're in a tournament match, do you like in the moment are you like constantly thinking about this type of stuff, or do you like think about it after the match and be like, all right, I gotta adapt, or you know what I'm saying, or change up the
Well,
game
what I
plan?
started, right? No, what I started doing recently is actually talking to myself, right? So I'm not like yelling like during the match. I don't want my opponent to know what I'm thinking, but for me, I'm a very subconscious thinker. Like when I play fighting games, usually the conscious part of my mind is very quiet, right? Um, and so what happens is I'll just play around and see what happens, and then I'll be like, okay, he's doing this. I'll say to myself, okay, he's doing this, this, and this. So that means I should do this, this, and this. And then I'll play the next round, and then I'll do the same thing in between rounds. I'm not like looking for like the smallest, minutest details because my subconscious kind of does that, and I don't have to like commit to brain memory to do that.
Mhm.
But yeah, I just like it's all subconscious, and like when something happens, um, I say it out loud to put it in my conscious. Because if I don't say it out loud, it's gonna stay in my subconscious, and I might not adapt to it. If that makes sense.
Okay, yeah, it does. All right, man. Let's get back into SoulCalibur real quick. All right, let's talk
Cool.
about it. We were playing on 1.3 right now. Let's
Yes.
hear what you're saying about Yoshi right now, this current moment in time,
Um.
man.
Well, uh, I uh, I think I was wrong. I think I overreacted to the patch notes.
Mhm.
Um, I think this character is still really good. Uh, I think there are certain things that I understand the direction they want to take them. They want to take them as a very like meter intensive, let me steal your meter kind of character. Um, and the reverse ring out should have been out of the game. That's a given. That shouldn't be in the game. But the Med K nerfs kind of hurt. And the Flea B nerfs kind of hurt. But he still has the tools to win, and he's not as brain dead as he was before. Like you got to use so many more moves to win, and because of the direction that they want to push him in with like the meter stealing mechanic and stuff like that, it opens up new moves like 22K, which I barely ever used. It opens up like new wall enders. Flea the Pogo Rush is a really good move now, and they gave him a new break attack, which actually is really good. If you have situations where you know your opponent's gonna like Ukemi, you can do the attack and they have to like hold it, and it's like really really cool.
Mhm.
Um, so my initial thoughts on Yoshi was that like he was dead and we needed to throw a funeral, but I now having some time to play with him and understand what he's doing and understand how they want him to play, he's I don't think he's top 5 anymore, but I think he's for sure top 10. I think he's a character that can still win and contend. So and that's really all that matters.
Mhm. What do you think about the fact that they, even though they reduce the lethal hit on 6A, right? It's just like, do you even
Uh-huh.
think it's good at all? Like, do you think it's useful?
No, I think it's complete garbage. I think it's just utter trash. But I mean, there's some uses, but it's at the wall, and it's like, well, if you have your opponent at the wall, you probably already run the round anyway. So why use it? You know what I mean? I think
Mhm.
it's just utter garbage. I think it would be fine if they fixed the meter mechanic to where we would take more of their meter, because there's some like if you do like full crouch 3K into 6A plus B, the Pogo Rush, right?
Mhm.
You're actually take meter, but you actually give them meter because you hit them, right? And
Mhm.
so the one change that I would like to see on the meter stealing mechanic is that we would actually take more meters, so that if we hit them, it doesn't really matter.
Mhm.
That makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. Sidetrack real quick. Does 6A wall splat on lethal hit at all?
6AA does.
6A does. Oh, okay. All right, man. So you know, I always when I always watch a stream and stuff, you always talk about neutral, right? Can you like
Mhm.
give like an in-depth neutral guide on Yoshi, especially for like people like myself? I am having the biggest trouble understanding what kind of neutral that Yoshi should be playing. And now that we have this new nerf going on, I don't even know what to do anymore, man.
Right. I think so neutral is very interesting. I was thinking about this for like ever. And
Mhm.
I think there's like a few ways you can think about neutral. So the most common way you think about neutral is like, you're jostling for positioning, you're pushing your opponent to the wall, pushing your opponent to the ring edge, et cetera, why reverse ring out so strong, et cetera. But I think one way that I think about neutral is understanding the conversation that's happening between you and your opponent, right?
Mhm.
And so for me, um, my goal in neutral is to make you stop moving. If I'm able to guard in your face and you stop moving, then me as a Yoshimitsu player, I feel like I have won neutral, right? Because Yoshimitsu's neutral tools are pretty lackluster, right?
Mhm.
We can't just throw out moves to keep people out because we just don't have the range. And so I think there's a couple concepts there's two concepts that I think, are, well, I'm getting ahead of myself. There's also two places of neutral. There's the far away neutral and there's up close neutral, right?
Mhm.
Far away neutral, I think one of the biggest things that most Yoshimitsu players don't like to do is they don't like to whiff punish with space, well, by taking space, right? So, for example, like Siegfried will whiff something, and then we'll run in and try to like AA, and then we'll get counter hit because he does a wall rising B in order to stop the AA, right?
Hmm.
But what happens if we just take the like if he whiffs the AGA and we run up block? What like, and he does the wall rising B, the punish because we can do AA stop all his options on block, and we're in there, right? And so like instead of whiff punishing with the normal, like whiff punishing by taking up the space with the movement, right? Like taking that forward movement and being like, okay, I'm in your face, right? And then there is the second part of neutral, I think, where we are actually like right in front of their face and we have the advantage, right? Because now it's like, do they move away? Do they sidestep away? Do they backstep? Excuse me. Do they hit a button? Like, do they block low? Do they jump? That kind of stuff. And so we can use moves like 1K and see their reaction, 6-6B, see their reaction, 3A, see their reaction. I like to use 3A a lot because if you hit it, you can counter hit it from it. If they block it, it's a guess. And if they try to move after it, you can do 3AA and finish it. Um, it's also a 14 frame mid, so it's really, really good. And if they block it and they try to like backstep or sidestep, there's options you can hit them with, right?
Hmm.
There's that kind of neutral. So I think the goal of every single Yoshimitsu player is to get the opponent to stop moving. And I think you do that by whiff punishing with space and like taking your punishes when you can. And obviously, like if you can whiff punish with like a 3B or a 4KB, then you take it. You want to take your damage. You don't want to give up your damage.
Hmm.
But I think that's like the easy. I think that's how I think neutral should be played. But there's another way to play that up close neutral, um, which is by the knockdown, right? Which is why we have our full cross 3K because it knocks down. Our 9K is so good because it knocks down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we can kind of forego the neutral game if we just get a knockdown, run the Oki setup, run the Oki game, etc., etc. Um, so there's like multiple ways to kind of play the neutral game, but really it's just about being patient. And I think with punishing with space more often than with punishing with a dash up AA. With punishing by taking up space rather than with punishing with a dash up AA in certain situations. Simply because dash up AA, even if you hit the AA, you're -4, so you pretty much lost your turn, right? At least with the dash up, and even if they block it, you're like -8, so you definitely lost your turn. But at least with a dash up block, you can at least force them mix up and make them guess. And you get to the human element of the neutral part or the neutral game, but that's a whole different discussion for a different day.
And in terms of like, where was I going with this? Long range characters, right?
Mhm.
When you attack, actually, I'm sorry. Let me scratch that. That's not what I was thinking of. In terms of matchups, right? What do you think is like the worst matchup in terms of like Yoshi? Like, I know you had a secondary. You were playing Raphael for a little bit. Who was like your worst matchup that you try to use it against?
Geralt, I think Geralt's annoying. Geralt has options to keep us out that are pretty safe. He can he's better neutral. He's got an I-10 Ard. He's got long range Igni, and he's got the auto GI Irden that kind of removes pressure. It doesn't remove pressure, but it kind of makes pressure risky because he just does it, and it's really annoying. So for me, I think that was um, the hardest matchup for Yoshi. But after playing Linkers a bit in the matchup, I don't think it's that bad anymore. And the issue was the matchup wasn't wasn't the character, it was my neutral game. 'Cause my neutral game was garbage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is why I started thinking about, with punishing with space, or by taking space and like looking up the frame data on some of his moves and being able to maneuver that. Um, so I think that was his worst matchup. I think it still probably is his worst matchup, but it's not unwinnable by any means, right? Um, but if I had to say a worst matchup right now, I think it would be Nightmare. That matchup went from when the game first came out, the matchup was in our favor. Then it nerfed War Rising B, and some stuff in the matchup became even, but we had like Med K and stuff like that. And now they took away Med K and other stuff, and the matchup just, I think it's in Nightmare's favor again. So,
And do you possibly have any other like option currently right now you're thinking of handling a nightmare with?
um, not necessarily. Like, I think I just I just really enjoy Yoshimitsu. I think the character is so cool. Like even though I was tilting on stream today, man, I don't care. The character is like mad fun to me. I do like Amy. I do really like Amy. I know that I said I hate Amy, and I still do when I'm not using her. But I think she's really cool, and I want to see. She kind of plays similar to Yoshi, and I think she has better options for certain matchups. I want to test that. But in reality, until like another like 2 or 3 months, I'm probably just gonna play Yoshimitsu in every matchup.
Hmm. And if the next patch comes, oh well, obviously it will sometime in the future, right? What would be the biggest change or something that you would like to add to like Yoshi?
I would like to add just the meter mechanic. I want Yoshi to be able to take more meter from the opponent, not just give the opponent meter back for them getting hit. I think that's the biggest thing. And then I want them to fix poison breath. Either remove poison breath from the game
Yes,
or make it larger. That's
fix it.
my. They have to like. That's. Those are really the only two things. They fixed 3B. 3B used to whiff, but now it doesn't whiff anymore.
Hmm.
Um,
I've
they
been saying,
fix.
man, they should just
Yeah.
make it A plus be a mid and make it an unblockable that does like a little bit of damage, like 10 damage or some shit. It doesn't even have to do
Or
like big damage, just like
right.
some sort of mix
Or
up.
or if they did it like in SoulCalibur 5 where it was still short, but if you blocked it, you got a free 6K. Like
Something,
if
dude.
if they did that, if they did that, I'd be fine. You know what I mean? But they're like, oh, we're gonna make it short, make it whiff, and it just sucks. But I,
Especially after GIing, dude. Come on, dude. Why
yeah,
is it
like
so
you don't.
inconsistent still?
But they're like, oh, here's a 940 break attack that you can use that's steppable. Like, okay, thanks. Like, Poison Breath was already steppable, you know. But I mean, I don't know. I actually think Yoshi's in a really good spot right now. I think the character's still really good. I think he's still top 10, but I really wouldn't call for too many buffs because Yoshi's a very delicate character where if you buff one little thing, he could be top tier and broken, as last patch probably showed everybody. But yeah, just A plus B fix, give us more meter on meter gain attacks, or take more meter from opponents and meter gain attacks, and actually fix 3B tracking on the ground because it doesn't attract rolls a certain way. So I think fixing that would be huge for
Do you
Yoshimitsu.
think it should track both ways?
Yeah, because if they block it, we're minus 16. It's super risky. And
Mm,
we don't have anything to track rolls to that side besides like 2K, or we do like a micro step 3B, which is kind of hard at times, but it's doable. But other than that, I think the character's in a perfect spot actually, despite my emotional roller coaster the past couple of hours.
that's what I feel like about his countering roll game too. I feel like he doesn't have a lot of options for it. What do you usually like prefer to go for
For say that one more time.
if they're like rolling? Because I feel like I can't hit him for shit unless I like
Yeah,
enter the 3B or like I try to go for 1A, but then you kept blocking. I'm like, man, if I kept doing it to you, what am I even gonna do in tournament now?
yeah, I like this. I like to step with them when they roll and then do a 3B. If you move with them, if you expect them to roll, if you move with them, then do 3B, it whiffs like 95% less. And
Mm,
so that's kind of what I do if I know they're gonna roll. Depending on the setup, I like to do 6 A plus B because it'll catch rolls sometimes. And depending on if your character has a fat hitbox, like I'll 6 A plus B and they'll be behind me and I'll still hit them. So
mm.
uh, those are my really my two big options. You can also 2B if you want to play safe. If they have like low guard gauge or like high guard damage and you don't want to risk 3B, you can 2B. But 2B doesn't track to
Yeah, yeah.
Yoshi's
Specific
left, I
strategy.
think. Yeah, but those are really my three options. And then 2K if you 2K is good if you really want to, and then while crouching B is really good.
Oh yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's like I usually just 3B.
All right, man. Let's go to the last two questions here, man. I usually ask this to everybody. What do you think are the biggest tips that you would give me right now?
You?
Mhm. After that game,
Uh,
after the first to 10 right there.
I think you should expand your game, right? Expand your moves, right? Because there you used so it was interesting because there are times where I would use a move, and then like a few games later you would just like steal like the move that I used in the situation that I used it, which is
Mm.
fine, which is cool. But I think you like to panic 2-2B a lot, and a lot of your neutral game revolves around like single A, which is fine. Single A is a really good tool. It's neutral and hit. And you like to full cross 3K a lot, right? And so one thing that I think would help you is finding ways to set up your full cross 3K rather than just doing it. You don't really use a lot of mids to set up your full cross 3K. Oh, the mid you use is 2-2B. You have to be side sticking for that. So I'd say like if you set it up with like a 4A plus B, or like, well, you did do 6A plus B a lot, but you did that after Dragonfly and not in neutral, right? So like if
Mhm.
you like went up in neutral and was just like, do like a 3A check and then like a 1K and then okay like a 6A plus B and they're still not moving any more than you do a full cross 3K, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Using more moves to set up like stuff like that. Because like your neutral game is fine, your movement is fine. It's just when it's just because your neutral game is lacking a number of tools, it becomes a little bit easier to read you in neutral because you aren't setting it up super well, if that makes sense.
Okay. It does make sense. Yeah, I get what you're trying to say. Man, it just it's just irritating trying to figure out like what to accomplish here with the, like Yoshi and stuff because I've been thinking about switching, but I'm not entirely sure yet.
Mm.
Maybe it's just like neutral game that I need to work on, like you said, like expanding my move range. Maybe I should just think about these type of things. But yeah, man, thank you so much for those tips.
Yeah, no problem.
All right,
I
dude.
hope
All
it
right.
wasn't harsh.
No. I would. You could be as harsh as you want. I'll take it, man. I just need. I'm trying to learn the game as fast as I can. This is my goal here.
I
Right.
got you. That makes sense.
All right, man. Now we're going at the end of this conversation here. Tell the people where we can find you, man. What's your Twitter? What's your Twitch at all? Anything else you want to plug in?
Sure. My Twitch is twitch.tv/ayoboom, AYOB00M. I stream Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and whatever random days I stream. Usually from 12 p.m. Eastern to 4 p.m. Eastern. Noon to 4 p.m. Eastern. Uh, Shouts to XL for sponsoring me. They treat me really well. Shouts to them. You can find me on Twitter. Twitter or at AYOB00M. That's my Facebook and Instagram if you really want to find me there. My YouTube is Disco411 if you want to find me there. Um, and that's pretty much it, I think. Yeah.
All right, man. I'll be posting all of that in the description box below. But thank you so much again, Boom, for joining me. And we'll catch you guys next time. Peace out, guys.